Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today is March 3rd, 2025. This will be our first chainsaw video of the year. And so we had some really bad weather here recently. Just a little over a week ago we had down into the teens at night, up in the low 30s during the day. We had ice and had a little bit of snow and everything. And today it's about 48 degrees. It's really nice. We had a few days of sunshine right before this, but anyway, we have some blowdowns, so we're going to be doing a small one today, and that's why we're going to be using a small saw. And this has been in a lot of our other videos. So what I like to do is early spring, when it's starting to get chainsaw season, I usually keep about 20 saws at the ready. There's about 8 of them I do probably 90% of my work with, and this is one of them. For doing small work, obviously, is a small saw. So anyway, this thing is sold by John Deere, and it was actually made by Deere in Japan, as everybody knows it today as Echo. And it says it's a 40V, which I've talked about before. You'd think it's a 40cc saw, but it's actually only about 35cc, 35.2 I believe. So false advertising. But has a lot of nice features on it, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. But the thing I've noticed with these and working on others John Deere Deere saws is that they're really well made and had a lot of really nice features. Only drawback to them is they're not real powerful. They're just kind of average power. And so this has a 3/8 low profile chain on it, which suits its power just fine. So anyway, first thing I do, get a good check over, service it. So got the fuel and oil up, and give the chain a quick sharpen, just a touch up. And there again, I've talked about these. I use these almost exclusively for finding my chains. They're a German Ferd, P-H-E-R-D. Some people call them P-Ferd, which is BS-Ferd. But anyway, this does the tooth and also the raker at the same time. It's got 2 files in here, and so I decided to time myself. So the chain was just a teeny bit loose, so I adjusted the chain and did a full touch up on it in 90 seconds. And that's why I use these. There's a lot of guys that they're more professionally oriented and whatnot, and like to hand file them, square cut them, and spend lots of time so they can get that little extra ounce of cutting done. But I'm into quick and dirty, so works for me. You can watch all my videos and see how great my saw is cut. So anyway, it's kind of interesting with the John Deere saws. I did a little looking to see what models they had at this time period, and I think this is late 70s through maybe about 1983. And they had 5 different models of saws, from 30cc to 40cc, which seems really silly. And so anyway, they had a Model 25, it's a 27.9. They had a Model 28 and a 30, which is 30.1, and then the 35 is 33.4 like this one, and the 40 is 35.2. And the bigger one, a Model 45, is 40.2 cc's. There again, fibbing, think you're getting a 45, you're only getting a lousy 40. But I just decided to do a little checking on the modern Echo saws to see what they have, and it always amazes me that they could make so many models with the displacement like 1 or 2 cc's or 4. It's just, why not have a 30, a 40, a 50, a 60, a 70, 90, 100, where you actually have some differences in them. Like I say, I just can't believe that the old saws, they had so many models between basically 30 and 40 cc. So I thought, well, let's see what the new Echo chainsaws have. And so they haven't learned anything. So I looked and see the smallest one they have is a 25 cc. They have a 26.9 cc, a 30.1 cc, a 34.4, probably another 3 or 4 others until they get up to 40 cc. And it just seems silly. Just why not have a 30, 40, 50, 60 and on. So anyway, we're gonna go up and cut the blowdown up here pretty quick, but I just want to start the saw. And you know, most of you have saws out there know this stuff, but if you're new, I just wanted to show you the warm-up procedure, because when you start them up and run them a little bit, and you go to give it throttle, it falls on its face, it doesn't want to rev up. That's because it's too cold, so you have to let it run a little bit and just kind of squeeze the trigger a little bit until it picks up and runs good and clean. Then you know it's time to cut. So anyway, pull this down, and here's your high throttle setting, your choke, your ignition switch. And one thing I like about this saw, pretty low compression, so it's really easy to pull through to start. Set the throttle up a little bit here. Right about there. Well, it's too warm. It's not really bogging down like it normally does, but this thing's really cold-blooded, so I'll warm it up and we'll see at the tree. Okay, well, here's the first pieces that came off that tree. You see it was hollow, some critter was living in it. Pretty rotten. It landed right on the corner of the pump house here. Unfortunately, it didn't do any damage. And then it dropped down over here. So what I'm going to do is to get back there and I'll cut that in half and pull it over, and we'll take it over to the sawhorse and cut it up. Slick in here. Well, I'll pull this out. Use my old log tongs here. I found these at an old logging camp years ago out in a creek by it. And I always thought they were log tongs. One of the subscribers said, "Hey, I think that's ice tongs." And I think he's right, but they actually use this in the logging operation in the yard. So anyway, we'll get it pulled out here. So I'm getting ready to cut, so I'll put it like this and do a couple of cuts, and then I can put it up there and then cut the ends off it and then move in. But if I put it up there the full length, if I'm pushing down on it, it'll tip up, and so it's the easiest way to do it. Well, that works pretty slick. Here the saw has a governor built into it, about 8500. So if it doesn't have a good load on it, it'll start to burble and four-stroke a little bit. But anyway, we'll be back. The fence has grown into the tree, that's why they cut it down lower here. So get the tong and pull it out and see at the sawhorse. Okay, well, now it's time for chainsaw BS. Well, it's time for what y'all been waiting for. Vintage chainsaw BS. So anyway, here's a little 40V, 35.2 cc. Power head weighs 11 pounds. The governor speed's about 8500. Unladen speed will go up to 11. Got a 3/8 low profile chain. Doesn't have a chain brake, just has a guard here. But this has got some of the nicest layout of any saw I've ever had. Everything is just really handy. You know, there's your safety lock there for the throttle. Your high idle, you pull this up here, and rotate that around, and it gives you the fast idle for starting. You click it back off. The carburetor adjustments are right out in the open. One of the easiest saws to gain to it. Air filter's right here, and your choke is right here. Just like I say, it's laid out really nice. And it's an anti-vibe saw too, which is kind of neat. But the thing I like better than anything else on this saw is this knob right here. You can adjust the volume for the chain oil. Just very simple as could be. And you know, the thing that's interesting is the later models of this saw, they did away with it, but most every saw should have that. Just a really, really nice setup. So anyway, you know, for small and light medium work, this is a really good choice. The other saw I use a lot is my McCulloch Mini Mac 35, which is quite a bit more powerful, but this thing is quiet compared to it, and it's a little smoother. Just a real nice refined saw. So if you get a chance to get one, do it. But parts availability is like terrible. This one was a gift from a friend of mine, and it looked really bad when I got it. In fact, I did a video on it a long time ago. The bar was completely rusted and the chain was really beyond repair. I tried sharpening, I couldn't get it to cut. It just had almost no power. When I went through it, the throttle linkage had been put in improperly, and it never had more than half throttle. So it just got thrown in a corner of a garage right next to the door there, where it could, moisture could get on the bar. So It had a 1/4 inch pitch chain, so I upgraded to a 3/8 low profile and got a different bar and stuff like that. But it was a really low hour saw, and so one of my favorites. Vintage is best. See you in 2 weeks.